Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Gnostic Studies. Tonight, we're going to do a practice related to the lessons that we've been learning about dream yoga and the astral plane. So, first, we're going to think about preparing our environment. So, however possible where you are, just try to get some privacy. If you need to close the door, make sure you're comfortable in your clothing. If you want to take off your shoes or loosen your belt, drink some water, and really just be ready to settle in. And one of the other ways that we prepare our environment is with the scent. So, what we use can be incense, we can use essential oils in a diffuser, and we're really trying to clean the environment. And what that is kind of getting out the negative energies, and we're really welcoming in the positive energies. So we have several different options with that. We do have what is commonly used. You may have heard, of course, sage, Palo Santo. Those are usually ignited and then waved around. And once you get that smoke going, you typically move it around the whole body. You can be very intentional with this, and as it's circling the head, you can kind of think of all the mental thoughts, everything from the day. You just want to let that go and cleanse that. You can move it around the heart center and think about all the emotions you want to let go of, and down through the body and think about clearing all the physical tension. And sometimes you can even go under the feet, back, really just kind of bathing yourself in the smoke from the incense. You can also use a type of resinous incense. So there are several types: benzoin, camphor, and copal. If you burn these, it's best to use like a charcoal, so something that is often used in a hookah. You light the charcoal and it has a divot, and once it kind of turns white and it's ready to go, you can put the incense, the resinous incense, in there. And then as well, you can usually use their type of brass holders that you can put those in any type of very sturdy, you want a very sturdy material to be able to hold that. And again, once that smoke is going, you can even use your hands to just, again, bathe that over your body and throughout the room. And you can also set up a diffuser, in water. And a lot of times, if the smoke is irritating to the sinuses, this can be a good option. And each scent really has its own ability to, evoke an emotion or have a physical outcome. Like lavender is quite calming, rose is a very high vibrational scent. So whatever's really calling you, and really just think of this as something you're doing to prepare the environment, to take you out of the ordinary kind of mechanicity of everyday life. So you're really just creating a special environment for the work that you're about to do. And another thing to consider is when we're doing these meditative practices, we want to become very comfortable. We don't want to be distracted by pain in our body or a posture that may be too rigorous on us. We really want to be able to relax to the point where we're just on the verge of where we could fall asleep, but not falling asleep. So oftentimes we can use like a very comfortable chair, something like a high back chair, or sometimes people have like a kind of lazy boy chair. Again, just enough to be comfortable while not completely falling asleep. Some people find it very comfortable to lay on the floor and either lift the knees up and get some stretch in that lower back, or you can also lay completely flat on the floor, something that is called, um, in the yoga practice, it's called a corpse pose. So you're flat on your back and your hands and feet are relaxed, and you can find some comfort and really just get yourself in a deep relaxed state. Again, just not completely falling asleep, just getting really in that liminal in between space where you're just drowsy enough, and that will help relax the mind and calm the mind. So you can take a moment now and go ahead and pick that, if you're able to, if you do have incense, whatever your favorite scent is, go ahead and get that going. You can also use a stick incense, very simply. And take a moment to find yourself in a comfortable seat, however you choose. And now take some time to take a deep breath in. And when you inhale, try to really bring that air into the point where it's expanding your stomach. Really using the diaphragm, really expanding as much as you can, and exhaling fully all the way. And we'll do another 2 breaths that way. Inhale slowly, expand like your stomach is a balloon inflating, and then relaxing and deflating. And one more time, a deep inhale, really expanding from the front and the back and the sides, and exhaling fully. So now we're going to do a pranayama exercise. This is a breathing exercise, but what it's really doing is helping us to transmutate the life force that we have, to really transform that from its raw state. And we're pulling that from the lower centers, the sexual centers, the bottom, the base of the spine. And we're bringing it all the way up the spine. And then we're letting that descend into the heart. So if you want to take a moment now and just visualize that. On the inhale, pulling that energy up from the lower centers, all the way up the top of your head, and descending into the heart space. So in order to do this particular pranayama, it's also called the alternate nostril breathing, we're going to be closing off our nose and breathing intentionally into each nasal passage. So you may want to grab a tissue and really give your nose a clearing. Just blow your nose. And then once you're ready, you're going to take your right hand, and typically we'll use the thumb to be blocking off the right nostril. And you could use the index finger to block off the left nostril. So to begin, we're going to be blocking the left nostril. So if you have your right hand, just let it curve, just let it relax your hand, and let that left index finger block the left nostril. And we're going to inhale through the right nostril. We're going to hold briefly. Then take the thumb, block that right nostril, holding. And then with the right thumb in place on the right nostril, exhale through the left nostril. We're going to pause And now our right thumb is on our right nostril. Inhale through the left. Block both nostrils. Leave your index finger on that left nostril and exhale through the right. And don't worry, it may take a few repetitions in order to get that cycle, but we're going to do about 10 repetitions. That whole cycle of blocking the left and inhaling through the right, holding both closed, exhaling through the left, inhaling through the left, holding both nostrils closed, and exhaling through the right is one cycle of pranayama. And everyone's capacity is going to be a little different. As you work on this exercise, you can work towards lengthening that exhale and lengthening the breath, but just go at your own pace. So we're going to give about 10 minutes to complete that cycle. If at any time you get lost in the exercise, just bring yourself back to the directions. You can start again. Again, just at your own pace, we're going to go through this exercise. I'll start you off on the first one, and then we'll go from there. So we want to close the left nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. Block both nostrils. Exhale through the left nostril. Inhale left. Close both. Block the left. Exhale right. So we'll do 9 more at your own pace, and I'll be checking back at the end. wherever you are in your pranayama, we'll go ahead and do the last one together. So blocking the left nostril, inhale through the right. Block both and hold. Exhale through the left, blocking the right. Still blocking the right. Inhale through the left. Block both and hold. Exhale through the right, blocking the left. And release the nostril. Take a big breath in through the nose. And release. Another deep breath in. And release. And then just fall back in your normal breathing pattern. So in doing this exercise, it is normal to sometimes hear or feel pressure building up in the head area. That's normal. And you may take a moment to just observe yourself. See how this exercise has changed your thinking, your feeling. Are you more relaxed? Just taking a moment to observe what's in the body, what's in the mind, and what emotions are coming up. If at any time you have any questions or you have anything to share, you can do so in the comments area. So now that our environment's prepared, and we've gotten comfortable in our position, and we've really done the work to transmute that energy, we want to think about calling in the benevolent forces, the superior forces. And this prayer that we have listed here is a prayer that has come from Master Samael Enlil, that he received from the angel Arak, which is the angel that is associated with force or power. So this particular conjuration or prayer is sung, and I'll go ahead and sing it in the melody, and we'll do this 3 times. And really just getting into that feeling, that heart space, really with all of our awareness, with all the conscious effort to bring in that benevolent protective force. And we begin. Beleline, 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 Amphora of salvation, I would like to be near to you. Materialism has no power next to me. Beleline, 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 Amphora of salvation, I would like to be near you. Materialism has no power next to me. Beleline, 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 Materialism has no power next to me. Beleli, beleli, beleli. Just taking a moment to let that energy soak in, just sitting in with that intention of calling in that benevolent and protective force. And these practices can be done at any time. It's also especially before we sit down to do any work, like our meditation, and especially before going to bed, as we know we're going to enter that astral world. And we really want to be as prepared as possible, our environment, and our consciousness, and our energy with that pranayama. So now we're going to do a retrospective exercise. We learned about this in earlier lectures. It's an exercise of recalling your day in reverse order. So going back to the moment we woke up from sleep. So as we find ourselves here in this practice, really just letting the mind go back and recalling the events, one before the other. First, this may seem challenging, but really just let enough intention go back just to recall and observe the events. And if we find ourselves where we cannot remember how we got to where we were, how we lost that bit of awareness of what was happening, we can pray at that moment to really get some insight into what was happening. Sometimes we can find that we really got identified perhaps with a strong emotion, or we could have been incredibly distracted. Our mind was not completely present. And this may take practice. Eventually, especially if we're calling in assistance and guidance from our innermost to bring light to that moment, it is possible to gain that recollection. It's also common when reviewing our events that we may have an emotional reaction. So it's important to do this exercise just from the perspective of an observer. You're just observing. And if you find that things, again, become difficult, you may find yourself not wanting to remember something. In that moment, again, pray. Pray to your innermost. Pray for the strength to be in that moment. Pray for the insight to understand the emotions, to understand the egos or defects that are keeping you from having that clear recollection. And with practice, we want to be able to recall every moment of our lives. And it begins just like this, day by day, going back, just recalling the experiences. So we're going to give about 10 minutes to complete this exercise. And if you find yourself straying, following thoughts, getting distracted, just bring it back to the last moment you remember and start from there. Just go backwards, like you're watching a movie in reverse. Again, just observing events, not becoming attached to it. And if that comes up, any strong emotion, any type of blinked out, your, like, for instance, if you can't recall and you're getting stuck, use those moments to pray and ask for that insight, ask for that assistance to gain back the awareness of that moment. So starting now, you make sure you're comfortable and ready, and we will do this exercise for about 10 minutes. I'll be checking back in, and let's begin now. You may find it helpful to close your eyes. And if your attention wanders from your recollection, just find yourself the last place you remember and go back from there. And if you find yourself struggling with any disturbing thoughts or emotions, take that opportunity and pray to your innermost and ask for the strength to endure, as well as bring the light and insight and the wisdom from that. And as we go backwards to that moment that we woke from sleep, we can even go further than that and recall our dreams from last night. Now we're going to take a deep breath. Slowly bring our awareness back to the present. Open your eyes if they were closed. Maybe do some stretching. And just coming back from there, you may find it helpful to record anything that stood out during that exercise. So you can take that into meditation and contemplate that further. So just take a moment, and again, whatever came up for you, perhaps write that down. And again, it may be beneficial to look into that further, to ask for the guidance, to get the wisdom of that event. And you may have noticed that there were certain times when we lost the awareness. It could happen from distractions, fascination, daydreaming, strong emotions. I'm not judging that, but really just being aware of it so that we can work on that. And going forward, just thinking about those moments where we lost that awareness, we may be able to notice a pattern. It could be a specific activity. It could be with a specific person. There could be an underlying reason why we want to even lose awareness, that we're trying to escape from that moment. And just taking a moment to recollect that and even recording it. And at a later time, circling back to it. So you can really gain some awareness of what is happening. And then going forward, we can see that the more that we are able to stay in the moment, in the here and now, when we do this exercise in the future, it will become a lot easier to recollect the events of the day. Some of the ways that we can come back to the present moment is even with some deep breathing. When we are doing whatever activity we need to do, even in our work, we can become more aware and more present. If at any time, even during our day, we're having challenges, if it is available to you to use, you may be in an environment where you cannot use incense, but perhaps you can use an essential oil. If you can take some time out of your day just to have a short meditation, have some deep breathing, and just come back to being centered and present. And then you will find that the next day when you do this exercise, it will become, again, a lot easier to recall the events. If you have anything you'd like to share or any questions, we welcome those in the comments area. So now we're going to move on to another practice. We did have this previously in our lessons. We're going to practice with the sacred sign of the infinite, or the Holy Eight. And keep in mind that all the handouts with these practices will be linked, so you can have these available to you, and whatever practice is helpful, go ahead and use that. You may find something that you resonate with, just go with that and really just build up that momentum. So now, when we start this practice with the sacred sign of the infinite, We also call it the Holy Eight. We're going to use the image here as a visual template and possibly just take a minute or two to allow this to sink into your consciousness, to really become aware. You may find it helpful to, with your eyes, with your awareness, trace that shape and really just allow it to embed into your consciousness so that you will be able to recall this sign. Most of us are familiar with this sign being the infinity symbol. And we talked about this sign in we have it there in the supplement in the 4th section, the 4th class. And taking a few more moments to just visually allow this symbol to imprint on the mind. Let go of everything else. Let me try to position that. Taking a few more moments to allow this to imprint on the mind. So when you close your eyes, you will be able to recall this image. So at first, what we're going to do is we're going to just clear a mind of thoughts. We're going to recall that image, bringing it up into our awareness, and then allow your mind just to rest and go to sleep. And this is how it will help us to awaken our consciousness in the astral body. So what we will do here in our meditation is take a few minutes and really allow your mind to recall this image. And as much as you can, just relax. We're going to find that space in between waking and sleeping. And we're going to visualize the symbol. We can also visualize light tracing around the symbol, back and forth. It is one way that we can keep our awareness without fully falling asleep. So we'll take a couple minutes now, closing your eyes, clearing your mind of thoughts. Recall the image of the Holy Eight, the sacred infinite sign, crossing over back into itself and looping around, allowing the mind to relax, allowing the consciousness to focus on the symbol. And if the attention wavers, just recall the sacred infinite sign. See that light moving through, looping around, back over itself, tracing that symbol. Allowing yourself to sink deeper into the awareness of the infinite sign. And slowly bring your attention back to the present moment. Slowly open the eyes. And again, taking a moment to record any impressions, any insights that may have come up for you. Taking a moment to pray and to thank your innermost for that wisdom, the knowledge coming from that meditation. Another practice that we can do with this symbol, with the sacred sign of the infinite, is as we're preparing for bed. I know we have many practices here to prepare the environment and ourselves. And once we've transmuted our energy, we're laying down for bed, we can trace this sign over ourselves. We would use the thumb, the index, and the middle fingers, the thumb and the first two fingers, and we'll trace that symbol over the area of our heart. So what we're doing is really we can unite and separate all the elements ruled by atomic energy. So we're really just directing those currents, going back and forth, weaving in and out of existence. And with our minds, we really want to concentrate on the symbol, and we're going to focus our intention into discovering the reason behind this. So the reason behind this relationship with our elements and the atomic energy, and how we're able to direct those currents. Another practice that we can do is we can invoke the great regent of the Sacred Order Tibet, and who we call Bhagavan Aklaiva. So he can help us consciously get out in our astral body. So we really want to center ourselves with our heart and with all of our soul for the assistance of the Bhagavan Aklaiva, great master that can help us consciously get out in our astral body. So when we are meditating on the sacred sign of the infinite, we can invoke this great master for assistance. And as we practice here, this is the symbol. We want to be able to hold it in our mind while at the same time invoking the master Bhagavana Klaiva for assistance. So we've shown a few practices here of how we can work with this symbol, and to know that with diligence and effort, and with invoking the great master Bhagavana Klaiva, with seeking help from our innermost, and with diligent practice, that we can awaken our consciousness and the astral body. We know that the retrospective exercise can help us with recall in our day, as well as all the events that have occurred in the astral plane. We really want to be able to bring everything to awareness so that we can come to the knowledge and the insight and the awareness of what is happening day to day. And our handout has all of these additional practices that we have here, as well as the practices with the Holy Eight. And that would conclude our practice for tonight. If anything, if anyone has anything that they would like to share, such as experiences that they've had during any of these practices, if you have any comments, if you have any questions, we'd love to hear from you. And again, all of these practices are available in the handouts. And I greatly encourage, even if you start with just one, preparing the room every night before you go to sleep, depending on your day, you may be able to devote more time, and just allowing the momentum of these practices to help carry you through becoming more aware and more conscious, which will inevitably lead to having more awareness in the astral world. So once again, we thank you for tuning in to this series. Tomorrow night, at the same time, we will have a meditation, and we look forward to you tuning in next week for our next series.